Welcome to our lunchtime virtual lecture, In Vogue 90 Years of Riordan Women's Fashions. Our special guest today is Adrienne Rose, who holds bachelor's and master's degree in clothing and textiles and has been a volunteer here at Riordan Mansion State Historic Park for 21 years. We are now going to join the presentation that has just begun.
Another granddaughter was helpful in that she remembered that her grandmother twice a year would go to Los Angeles and buy 6 evening dresses and 6 luncheon dresses. Okay, first slide, please. This is one of Caroline's sewing machines. It's a Wilcox and Gibbs, patent 1883. And it's believed to have been a wedding present to the Riordans. This is a machine that only sews forward. You can't back up. If you do, you have a real mess. It takes you a while to clean it up. And it has no bobbin. Again, the chain stitch kind of takes care of that. Next slide, please. This is the second machine, and if you're sitting there saying, looks just like the first one, that's because it is just like the first one. The only difference is the newer one has some fancy attachments that do more sophisticated things, which may be why Mrs. Riordan thought she needed more than one. We were told that after she got the new one, she left the older one downstairs so that the servants could use it if they wanted to. And the newer one was donated by a granddaughter, and she remembers being allowed to sit on the lid of the machine and watch her grandmother as she was being taught how to sew. I thought that was a great story. A few years ago, I began to wonder if the machines could be put in working order. I put new belts on them, oiled them, and they worked very well. But both machines were usable. And fortunately, we were in possession of the original instruction booklet, and that helped a lot. The threading sequence is very complicated, and I doubt if I could have done it without the booklet to look at. Now I knew that the machines worked. I started using them to mend textiles in need of repair. I then developed a desire to make an entire garment using one of these machines. Next slide, please. And this is the result. It was pieced together from 2 early 1900s vintage undergarments. The skirt started out as a slip, and it had a drawstring waist, so I just changed that to a regular waistband with a pocket up the back. And the reason for doing anything at all to these garments the hope was that I could wear the garment for functions at the house. And eventually I did get to wear it several times. But anyway, the skirt was originally a slip. And as I said, I did change the waistband. And I also put a pocket in each side seam. And again, that was for convenience. If we did use it for a function, I have to have my Kleenex. So that's what the pocket was for. And the blouse, I just took a pattern that I knew fit me from my stash and made the blouse from that. And the blouse, funnily enough, was made out of a very large pair of women's drawers. The garment was completely disassembled and remade into the upper garment. Next slide, please. This is a green silk taffeta. and it's late 1880s. It is the oldest costume that we have in the collection. Next slide. And this shows a couple of trim pieces that came with the garment. And I've looked them over many times. I've looked the garment over, never been able to figure out where those were originally. Now, the other item there, I hope it is in your slide. The longish one is just, it's kind of a fake stole and really serves no purpose. It doesn't keep you warm or anything, but it's just whimsical, I think. Next slide, please. Here we have Caroline Riordan's 1889 wedding dress. Next slide. And here, this is a picture of Caroline in the dress, presumably at the time of her wedding. This is a garment that had to be sent out to a textile restorer a few years ago. It was showing its age, and it had a few places on it that needed to be taken care of before they got worse. The restorer told us not to put it on a mannequin anymore, and not to hang it from a hanger anymore, that it's too hard on the dress. So we certainly took note of that. And now when we display them, they're, for instance, Caroline's would be laid out flat on her bed, Mary's would be on her own bed. And that works out pretty well. Next slide, please. Now this is a great photo. This is in the 1940s. It was for Emma Jean Babbitt's wedding to John Nelson. And here we have, 50 years later, Caroline wearing her wedding dress. 50 years later, and the woman can still get into it. I have great admiration for her. The same year Caroline was married, 1889, one of Caroline's garments is mentioned in a news article which devoted a full column to describing gowns worn to the inaugural ball for President Benjamin Harrison. Mrs. T.A. Riordan's dress is described as black lace and pink satin. Unfortunately, we didn't get that dress, but it's still fun to read about it. Next slide. Here we have a black straw hat with 3 camellias. This would have been anywhere from 1890 to 1905. And we do have quite a few hats from various decades, and occasionally those are taken out and put away, and we put some new ones up. Next slide, please. Here we have Caroline in an early 1900s duster. This one comes from Rome. It's believed to have been a gift from Timothy, her husband, from one of his trips overseas. Look at the bottom of the garment and notice that green trim around the edge. And if you look real close, you should be able to see a soft crease in that same area that I was talking about. Now, this kind of led me to believe that the garment must have been altered at one time. And I happened to get to see one of the granddaughters around that time. And she verified that it had originally been for Caroline, who was short, and she wore it as much as she wanted to. And then Anna took it over, and Anna was somewhat taller. So that I was right, it was altered. Next slide, please. That's Caroline wearing the duster in the early 1900s. Again, if you look at the bottom where the hem is, you'll see that that trim does no longer show, because of course it's in the hem that's turned to the inside. Next slide, please. This is a linen lingerie dress, and it's a fabric known as lawn. That's L-A-W-N. And it's a corruption of the name of the French city of Lyon, which is the place of manufacture. The lingerie dresses were popular from the 1890s to the 1920s. This one is somewhere around 1910. And the way we know that is the earlier ones had a fuller skirt, and the later ones had the dropped waist that was really well known in the 1920s. Now, all of that top part is hand embroidered with tiny little buttonhole stitches. Next slide, please. And that's what I'm trying to show, a close-up of the dress. And any place where you see a little hole, that was outlined in hand. And it probably took forever. And whoever did do it and or make the dress did a very good job. It was definitely somebody who knew what they were doing. Next slide, please. Here we have a young girl's lingerie dress from the same time era. For a long, long time, the wearer was unknown until a few years ago when family members loaned us some photos to copy. We like to keep track of any photos that we can get our hands on that perhaps we don't. And in that box of photographs that were to be copied was a photograph of Blanche Riordan wearing the dress. So now we know whose it was. Next slide. Okay, this is Blanche wearing the dress. She looks to me like she might be 11 or 12 years old then. Next slide, please. This is just a little cape, and it's made out of cotton, very fine cotton. My take on this is that it was probably part of a garment that we don't have the rest of, because it's really not useful. It wouldn't keep you warm. And it just looks like it might go with a lingerie dress. So I'm just taking a guess on this. Next slide. This is Caroline Riordan's black silk dress from around 1913. It was a favorite of hers, and that's been verified by granddaughters. She saved it for special occasions. This one actually has the store label in it. It says Hudson, Philadelphia. Next slide, please. This is a collar that goes with the dress. And another one of those funny stories, I was cleaning up a room that had nothing to do with textiles. And it was even not in the east side of the house where we keep the textiles. It was found in the west side. It was in the bottom of an old shoebox. And when you remove some of the hardware that was in the shoebox, on the bottom of that shoebox was this collar. And when I put the two together and looked at it, it's really neat. That was a collar that you could wear or not wear. There were hooks and eyes on both of the parts of the garment. And this also happens to be a Hudson of Philadelphia label. Next slide. And this is showing the metal stays, and those were used to hold the collar up. Probably not very comfortable. Next slide, please. This is a net insert known as a dicky, used in the 1890s to the 1920s. That one was donated by a granddaughter, and it does use the same type of metal stays as above. Next slide. We have Mary's 1916 wedding dress, and that lace is known as Chantilly lace. This is another one that was sent out for repair a few years ago, and the same restorer suggested that it should be laid on the bed to display, as it really is very fragile and it's not going to withstand much rough play at all. Another Hudson of Philadelphia label. Next slide. This is the only known photo of Mary's wedding. And you can't really tell it, but it looks like it might have originally had very long sleeves. As I said, you can't tell for sure. But Rita Galen, one of the granddaughters, did say that for some reason that rang a bell. She thought that maybe it had had very long gloves attached to it to act sort of like a sleeve. Next slide, please. This is Caroline's 1916 purple lace over purple silk charmeuse dress. It has a label from J.W. Robinson. This is a dress that Caroline wore to daughter Mary's wedding in 1916. And the way we know that is we have the newspaper write-up of the wedding with all the gowns described in great detail. And believe me, if after you read it, you'll know why we know that that's the dress that Caroline was wearing to the wedding. Next garment. This is Mary's gray silk caftan, and it's similar to one shown in the 1919 Sears catalog. So I think we're probably pretty close to right on for the date. This one is a custom-made garment, and that means it was strictly made for Mary. It wouldn't be one she bought in the store. It's the detail is called drawn work, and it's DRAWN, and it's called that because you do pull out some of those fibers when you're making the design on it. Next slide, please. This is known as a boudoir cap, and they were used a lot during the 1920s, but only in a lady's bedroom. Next slide, please. This is an undergarment known as a chemise. This one happens to be raw cotton from the 1920s. It probably belonged to Mary. It's too big to have been Caroline's. Next slide, please. I have another chemise from around 1924. This is a black silk, and all of that red embroidery is all hand done. The top's joined to the bottom with a hand faggoting stitch. The family at a 2008 reunion felt that this was probably Blanche's. Next slide, please. Here we have Caroline's 1920s blue silk charmeuse chiffon and lace party dress. And I call this one definitely homemade because it's made by somebody who was really trying but didn't really know how to sew. I do not believe it was made by Caroline. For one thing, her work was much better than this. And also it is not sewn with the chain stitch that her two machines did. So I'm voting for it not being one that she made. Next slide. And here we have Caroline wearing the dress. And this is a really nice touch. She had written the date on the back, August 2nd, 1930, for Bob and Mary's wedding anniversary. We always are really happy when somebody puts extra information that we can use. Next slide, please. This is a 1920s cotton voile dress, and it is believed to be Anna's. Family members agreed with this at their reunion that I was speaking of. And this most assuredly is Caroline's work because it's so beautifully done and it is stitched with the chain stitch. And the rest of the construction is really very good. Next slide. Here we have Anna's early 1920s college graduation dress. Now those extensions on the waist were really more of an 18th and 19th century. They're an anomaly for this time, so I don't know how that came about. And notice in this particular slide that the dress is sleeveless. Now, next photo, please. Now we have Anna wearing the graduation dress on graduation day. Note the dress now has sleeves. My take on that is that after she had worn it for this ceremony, she probably felt that it would be of more use for her as an evening gown, and it would look more like an evening gown if she removed the sleeves. And again, I'm taking a guess on all that. And by the way, the graduation dress has 19 snaps and 13 hooks and eyes. Had to have some help getting in and out of that one. Next slide, please. Here we have Mary's 1920s pink party dress, another one that had to be sent to the textile restorer, and she dated it as about 1925, and again made the recommendation not to hang it on a hanger or put it on a mannequin. Next slide, please. Here we have a brown leather coat, and there's some contention as to whom it belonged to. The granddaughters swear that it was Caroline's. However, other family members have said that it was Claire's. So we don't know if it's Claire's. We don't know if it's Caroline's. Next slide, please. But we do know that Amelia Earhart had one almost exactly the same from 1930, but you would have to visit the Smithsonian to see that one. Next slide, 1930 straw hat. Next slide. Here we have a white cotton sunbonnet donated by a granddaughter. It's hard to date a sunbonnet because they were used all the way from pre-Civil War right up to the present. I'm guessing it's maybe 20s or 30s. And it could be Caroline. She had very beautiful skin. She was very careful to shade her face when she went outside. Next slide, please. We have a 1930s black silk flowered short dress. This is a custom-made dress, very, very good construction. Again, not Caroline's, there's no chain stitch, so, but whoever made it did know what they were doing. Next slide, please. There you can see a little vest that went with this dress. And for a minute or two, I thought, why would you put a vest that you can't see right over that print? And next slide, please. Probably because the back is very low cut, so it was probably a modest woman that had that particular dress. Next slide, please.
I can't know.
Next slide, please. Okay. It's 1930s net dress of pale orange and cream leaves. This has a cowl neckline, which was really popular in the 1930s. This could have belonged to one of the granddaughters. It's too long to have been Caroline's, and it's too small for Mary, but it would have fit a granddaughter, so that's a possibility. Next slide, please.
Just a minute, I've got my ears in. What?
Late 1920s evening dress,
No.
coral embossed silk. Another custom-made dress, and very nicely custom-made. It was cut on the bias, which is always gives a dress a really nice, not really folds, but it just makes the dress so much prettier. Next slide, please. We actually have a photo of the dress. Picture of Mary in the dress. And according to her grandson, this was taken in 1929 when she was 39 years old. Next slide. 1930s silk georgette mauve evening gown with rhinestone trimming. This is another bias cut garment. Next slide. Here we have a light green satin charmeuse evening gown, has that front drape neckline, so attractive. Another common 1930s figure. This one has a label, B. Altman, New York. Now, we don't know who owned this. Next slide, please. We do know that in 1933, a painter named Tamra de Lempica painted a portrait of Madame M wearing the same dress except in the color white, and ours is green. Next slide. 1930s black lace dress with blue velvet belt. Now this has features of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, so it's a little hard to date. Rita Gannon and Mary Melgrim, both granddaughters, thought they remembered seeing Caroline wear it, and that information was acquired at the 2008 reunion. Next slide, please. 1940s wedding dress. This was worn by all three of the granddaughters. It has a label of J.W. Robinson, Los Angeles. This is made of acetate, which is a man-made fiber, and it was really popular for 1940s gowns. Silk was hard to get, and if you were lucky enough to get it, it would have cost quite a lot. So a lot of brides did buy that particular fabric. And there should be a collar that shows, and I'm not sure it's in this photograph, but when the dress came to us, it was naked, shall I say. It was just the dress. There were no lace trims or anything of the sort. Next slide. This is the headpiece and veil to the above that I just spoke about. After college graduation, Timothy and Anna became engaged. And on a subsequent 1925 European tour, she purchased lace for her veil, and it was said to be from the finest lace shop in Venice. Of course, the wedding never took place as Anna passed away after contracting polio. Now, I began volunteering in February of 2001, and from then on, every once in a while, Anna's lace would come up in the conversation. Nobody seemed to know what happened to it. I think we all felt pretty much that it had just gotten lost in the shuffle and we would never see it. And that was true until 2018, when the last granddaughter, Helen McPherson, passed away. And in her passing, she did have some artifacts set out for us. And guess what? One of them was a little box with Anna's lace in it. And it had 4 3/4 yards of it. And there was a small receipt for $134. Also in the little box with the lace was a handwritten letter by Caroline telling Helen to have a veil made using the lace, and that Caroline would pay for the veil being made. She also instructed Helen that the lace was to be passed on to her 2 sisters when their wedding days came along. Now, since it came to us, we basically had to make a new veil out of it, but we weren't able to use all of the lace on it. Next slide. Here we have a group photo of Helen's wedding. Next slide, please. Her 2 bridesmaids were her sisters, and it's Rita that wore the peach color and Mary the aqua. Next slide. That's a, okay, we lost one. Okay. This is one of my favorite all-time photos. This is a photo of Helen's daughters when they were young girls. They're playing dress up in the bridesmaids' dresses. Next slide. This is just a close-up of the veil, the lace from the veil. And next slide, please. You have a wedding photo of each granddaughter. Next slide, please. This photo was taken in the billiard room in 2008, and it does have a couple of garments that were displayed previously. The gold flower girl's dress is for Mary's wedding, and the off-white for Rita's wedding. Next slide, please. Here we have a magenta chiffon over taffeta evening dress, 1940, Mary's. Her daughters, Mary Malgrim and Rita Gannon, remember their mother wearing this particular garment. It does also have a matching jacket that doesn't show on this slide. Next slide. 1940s evening jacket. Next slide. Black felt hat with 3 purple feathers. Next slide. 1950s coral boucle swing coat has a Bullock's label in it. We actually have a home movie of Mary wearing this coat and walking around the grounds after a snowstorm. Next slide. Here we have a 1950s black net evening dress with polka dots. The family generally agreed that it was probably Blanche's. Next slide, please. Here we have a late 1950s garter belt with the garters cut off, and don't ask me why that was done. I have no idea. Next slide. We have a 1950s beige velvet hat. Next slide. This is a plain little white dress. It's believed to have been Blanche's volunteer nurse's uniform. During World War II, she started volunteering at our local hospital and was an aide for the Red Cross. She absolutely loved being a nurse. She wanted to go on to get more schooling and to become a registered nurse, but unfortunately her father didn't approve. He thought it was not a fit career for a lady. So she made do with working at the hospital, and not just during World War II. She liked it so much she kept on doing it. And I don't have a record of exact number of hours, but she did work quite a number. The reason I think this might be the dress she wore, next slide, please. This should show the upper left part of it, and you can't see, I can't see it from my screen, but you should be able to see that upper shoulder, and it's got lots of loose threads on it, and it just looks like a place where pins would have been pinned and unpinned a lot. So I'm making another guess on that. Next slide, please. This is her nurse's cap, and I always call it the buttoned up cap because the cap had a button and buttonhole on each side at about the temple on the head. And the next slide, please. We now have the nurse's cap, and this one's unbuttoned. And the joy of this would be when you needed to wash and iron it, you could lay it out flat and made it a much easier job. Next slide, please. Okay, this is her volunteer badges, the ones that we have, and more could show up, I'm sure. Next slide, please. Blue babushka. It's a head covering, and they were used a lot in the 1970s. You know, good for the bad hair days. And most women had at least one babushka. This one happened to be ID'd as Blanche's at the 2008 reunion. Next slide. This is a plaid cape from the 1970s, and pretty much agreed that it was Blanche's. She was kind of a flashy dresser. Next slide, please. 1970s silver fake fur coat, probably Blanche's. And next slide, which is our last slide. Off-white knit dress from 1970s. And that is the last slide, but before we open it up for questions, I would like to tell you, which Shannon already covered this, but it bears repeating. On display at the present time are Anna's graduation dress, Caroline's silk party dress, Mary's caftan, Anna's voile dress, and the 2 lingerie dresses. So if you haven't taken a tour in a really long time, it's well worth it just to see the clothing. Now, any questions from anybody? Well, I guess that completes our talk, and I do thank you all for coming.